September 19th, 2010 was the first Saturday of my 2010 field season in South Africa. To get on the time zone, my good friend Nick Laidler decided to take me around the Cape Peninsula for a photo safari, and we were out before sunrise until after sunset. Sunrise, obviously. It's a beautiful little pond here, and I'm out with Nick Laidler to do some photography. And there's Nick taking pictures of ducks. It's a mallard duck, out of place.
Nothing else.
So Table Mountain sandstone is quartz base?
Yeah, it's completely quartz. There's virtually nothing else in it. Very low percentages. And it's extremely resistant to physical and chemical weathering.
Oh wow.
So it's way more resistant than the granites we have here. The feldspars all tend to get hydrated horribly.
And on this side, do you have some of the shale? I saw some of that on the west side.
Yeah, in fact, we might go through to the contact later.
This is interesting. What's going on here?
That roadworks.
Oh, okay.
Which I had forgotten about.
I don't think we ran into this yesterday. We must have turned off before then.
Oh, you probably went over Boys Drive, which is just above us.
Boys Drive, yeah.
Yeah, it avoids all this.
Let's see the oceans here. But this must be fun in a storm. Does the rail line ever get flooded out?
Oh yes. The trains sometimes coming home on the train. You'll see a train that's been smacked by a big wave. One of the first stops of our photo safari was a little town called St. James, and it's one of my favorite places on the Cape. It's where there are these beautiful and colorful beach houses that always have caught my eye, and this was the first opportunity in all of the 9 field seasons I've ever done in South Africa that I had a chance to do some photography here. One of my favorite stops for the day was at Boulders Beach. We went to the, not the place where you pay, but just to the south of that to see some of the penguins in more of a natural habitat. And Nick spent some time telling me about when he and Chris were doing their penguin rescue after an oil spill. Hello, penguin. This is an Egyptian goose. It's basically a big duck. This is Boulders Beach, place to see penguins. Start here, out with Nick Laidler, do some photography. The idea is to get some penguins while the lighting is still nice. They're not very shy at all. Yeah, Andy? That little guy with the A tag on his wing is one of the treasure spill penguins.
It's one of the what?
When the treasure sank, there was a fairly decent oil spill that spent, what, a month or 2 washing penguins.
So the tag is the mark that's a restored penguin? One of the ones that...
well, they ring virtually everyone that they got off that oil spill.
Oh, okay.
It just helps keep track of the demographics of the guys too.
How long ago was that now?
10 years ago-ish.
Okay, so they live a long time.
Yeah, no,
okay.
They do.
So where is the tag?
I may well have, it's on the other side, it's on his wing.
Oh, okay,
So
I see.
A and followed by some number.
Okay.
chances are very strong that I spent about a month washing a good couple of hundred of them, feeding a few thousand more. So yeah.
And they weren't gentle, were they?
No, they weren't. They were very, very ungentle.
So what did they do?
The second day, one took my thumbnail off, threw a thick pair of gloves, chomped down on my finger and cracked the nail in half, came off a day later. But yeah, they bite, scratch, kick, and those little wings of theirs are fairly vicious flappers.
And they don't like to be washed, do they?
They don't like to be washed, they don't like to be force-fed, they don't like people in general. But they've got a lot of character.
Oh,
You kind of gain a lot of respect for their resilience and the way
good.
that they'll bounce back from anything.
Well, cool. Well done. You just can't decide whether he wants to jump or not.
Yeah, he really wants to be down there, but he just can't figure it out. Too far to jump, and he's up here, and he wants to be there. It's about 3/4. Some of them are actually annoyingly intelligent.
Really?
Yeah. They can figure out how to break through things, how to open fences if they've really got enough time.
I really enjoy driving around the Cape Peninsula, especially when the traffic isn't heavy. And one of the things that you see as you're driving along on this route is a lot of traffic from bicyclists. Apparently this is a really popular bicycle riding spot, especially early on Saturday or Sunday morning. And it's a place where they have a race all the way down to Cape Point and back to Cape Town. I think it's about 80 kilometers. Such a pretty drive.
It is a pretty drive. It's a really nice cycle too. But what's really fun is also to take the train ride down to Simonstown.
How far down does the train go?
All the way to Simonstown to the beach.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much to where we stopped at Jubilee Square.
One of my favorite stops for this early morning part of the photo safari was at Kalk Bay. It's a marina where a lot of the fishermen come in and out. There's a fish market there, and people fish along the pier, sometimes with poles like I just saw there. And the little kids just put a wire with a hook down across the wall there. It's kind of interesting. There are a lot of boats that apparently are doing lobstering or maybe catching crabs. Very colorful cages and nets there. And some of the boats are really colorful. I've never seen purple boats and bright green boats in one place. I got a real kick out of these kids that were trying to catch fish. They were so intent on what they were doing. Their parents were also doing a lot of fishing nearby, but it was really great to see these kids working so hard to try to catch a fish. Kalk Bay has tremendous waves, and there's a little restaurant there at the end of the pier that just takes these huge waves and gets a beating. I really was kind of interested in some of the people around too, and this guy looks like he was a fisherman who was injured. He has a wrap around his foot, and he looks like he was just watching the action, and I have no idea what these two were looking for. The Cape Peninsula on the east side is flanked by False Bay, and it seems a real popular surfing and kayaking spot. It's also full of white sharks, so I'm not sure I'd be out here in a sea kayak with the great whites, but to each his own.
Side that's likely to be the tablecloth coming off, isn't it?
Yep.
So that's the top of Table Mountain in a cloud. It's going to be cold and rainy and windy and maybe miserable out there.
Or awesome, depending on how insane you are.
Yeah.